Since my last video talking about Farrakha did so well, maybe try giving it a watch if you haven't already. I figured I might as well talk about another one of my commanders, who I feel is in a similar position to Farrakha. An incredibly unique card that doesn't see as much play as it probably should. First, though, I need to talk about another format I love. Legacy. Specifically, a deck by the name of Lands. It's a deck that abuses, as its name suggests, land cards, with powerful spell-like effects to grind opponents out of the game, or to combo kill them using Dark Depths and Thespian Stage to summon Marit Lage. This is one of my absolute favorite archetypes, since it plays in a pretty unfair way. Because all of your powerful plays are lands, you can't be counterspelled, and barring some cards in the meta like Smallpox, Sinkhole, or Wasteland, you're pretty in the clear when it comes to putting your valuable cards on the battlefield. Land tutors like Crop Rotation become ultimate toolbox cards, getting you Grave Hate, Protection, Removal, and combo pieces all in one. Oh, and no worries about a turn 1 Thoughtseize either. Most of these benefits translate directly into Commander, so I knew I wanted to replicate this strategy. And when you think about it in today's lens, I'm pretty spoiled for choice. Modern Horizons 3 brought us the Necrobloom. Yuma and New Hazazon can make for fine lands decks with a desert theme. Archelos is a Amulet of Vigor from the Command Zone. And of course, the most notable lands commander, Lord Windgrace, is an option as well. Instead of these options, I chose a commander with only 318 decks to her name using the Marit Lage combo, meaning the card is played as a commander less than 10% of the time when compared to the previously listed choices. You wouldn't be completely wrong to say I picked her entirely to be a hipster, but she genuinely has some incredible lines of play that are impossible to replicate with other decks. Kura, the Boundless guy, is from 2022's Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. She is a 5-mana 4/4 legendary dragon spirit with flying and death touch and has one of 2 triggers upon death. You can create an XX spirit, where X is the number of lands you control, or, more importantly, you can search your library for 3 land cards and put them into your hand. Don't do what I did when I first read this card and insert a Phantom Basic into her rules text. Despite the overwhelming preference people have for other lands commanders, Kura is the only one that lets you tutor lands from the Command Zone. Since Kura lets you get 3 lands, and the Dark Depths Thespian Stage combo is only 2 cards, you have a little wiggle room to get a toolbox land that depends on your situation. If you want a backup land-based threat, you can get Field of the Dead. Do you need more mana to actuate the combo? Grab a Sunken Citadel that produces more mana for land abilities. Or you can get Yavimaya, which lets Depths tap for green mana. You can also grab the incredibly pushed Boseiju Who Endures to answer a ton of different permanents. There are many, many more options I could talk about, but it's better if you just read the primer on Moxfield if you want a full actual list of them. There's a ton of fun ones on there. Link in the description. And listen, I know the fear exists that tutors can cause a deck to become samey, but since Kura can't tutor for any combo that wins the same turn it happens, there's a lot of answers to even her grossest line of play. With Kura, wonder less about how you're going to win the game, and ask more how you're going to be bouncing back from being answered. Because of this, I have yet to play 2 games of Kura that occur the exact same way, after about 8 months of playing her. Now then, with talking about her effects out of the way, let's talk about her mana. Let's start with the non-issue first. 5 mana is not hard to get to at all in this deck. You can achieve it pretty early as turn 2 with the Nut Draw, and turn 3 most normal games. As for the actual problem, Kura is mono green, but this isn't a big hiccup. While losing colors compared to competition is definitely a downside for any deck, for lands, you don't actually end up losing that much by cutting the other 4 colors of Magic, since cards that synergize with lands have been printed very steadily in green since the beginning. The only major downside I've felt over the past 8 months concerning color identity since the deck's creation is missing out on some of the more fun gotcha crop rotation targets, and having to get different card names for Field of the Dead. But this is remedied by splitting forests into cards with different names that basically do the same thing. I always found it to be funny running Command Tower in a monocolor deck. Okay then, let's say everything I've said about Kura thus far hasn't swayed you. Is there a reason Kura is a good commander beyond this? Well, yes. It's because she doesn't need protecting like a Windgrace or flipped Brothers War Titania. In fact, she wants just the opposite. She wants you to kill her, which puts a lot less stress on you for when you deploy her. Generally, you can throw her onto the battlefield and she'll either die and you're happy, or you'll untap with her and you'll be happy. Since when you do untap with her, you get to do some of the most obscene plays I've seen from a casual deck, which I'll talk about after I mention how to go about killing Kura yourself in case you're at a table that doesn't want to do it for you. Finding a way to kill Kura is possibly the most fun puzzle the deck provides you, and deck building around it without sacrificing card quality is also fun. The deck, as I have it built currently, has 23 ways to kill Kura. That's right, in mono green. Some aristocrat decks don't even have that many ways to kill their creatures. The deck runs cards that literally sacrifice Kura, yes, but also fight spells, each of which are also land drops, cards that tutor for lands that sacrifice Kura, and cards that allow Kura to die to the legend rule. The ones that sacrifice a creature to draw cards are especially potent, since you can use them to kill Marit Lage and draw 20 cards. Most games, you'll only need to kill Kura once, since land recursion can do the rest of the work once you get the depth stage combo. There is also a bonus 24th card that enables the deck without you even needing to cast Kura, that being Nylea's Intervention, which lets you tutor for X land cards, which, when used for 5 total mana, the same mana used to cast Kura, you can get the same number of lands she would give you upon death. Windgrace players, any lands players, play this card. It's incredible. Now then, let's talk about those gross plays you can do with Kura that I mentioned earlier. Springheart Nantuko. Bestowing this card onto Kura makes the deck a madhouse of value. Play a land, pay 2 mana to make a copy of Kura, which dies to the legend rule, tutor 3 lands. Repeat for each extra land drop until Kura is killed. Oh, and don't want to pay 2 mana? Kura finally gets removed? Insect Consolation Prize. Insane synergy. Eldritch Evolution. Sacrificing Kura to this spell and retrieving Cultivator Colossus with it is literally Primeval Titan at home. Because the sacrificing is an additional cost, Curse Trigger will go onto the stack on top of your Eldritch Evolution. Get your 3 favorite lands, and now put them into play and replace them with non-land cards with the Colossus trigger. Because of that additional cost aspect too, even if your spell gets countered, you still get your 3 lands. Oh, and just in case you've already drawn Cultivator Colossus, you also have Azusa to fetch for off of the evolution to play the lands you tutor for. Mirage Mirror. You can use Mirage Mirror to copy Kura. Then, after you legend rule the original Kura, you can play Dark Depths. Anytime before your next turn, you can then use Mirage Mirror to combo with Dark Depths, since it can copy a land just like Thespian Stage. There are many more synergies the deck gets to have, such as using Shifting Woodlands to copy a Glacial Chasm to get its benefits on an opponent's turn, but none of its drawbacks. Or to copy a Dark Depths to get Marit Lage again. Another example is how Abundance combos with Cultivator Colossus, but both are individually good cards for the deck list. And God forbid you get a card with an effect that turns the lands entering into tangible advantage immediately. But these are not unique to a Kura lands deck specifically, and thus are beyond the scope of this video. So if you don't know about them already, like I said earlier, you can check the Moxfield primer linked in the description below to read about them. So I ask you now, what do you think about Kura? How much land hate do you run in your deck? What cards do you run to deal with indestructible creatures like Marit Lage, or creatures with scary death triggers like Kura? Tell me all this, and also share all your fun tech ideas for Kura and other lands decks down below. Until next time, bye!